saw a video of you on T.D. Jakes' show that's on the Oprah Network, and this was right after the presidential election, and you said, and I want to be correct in the quote, you said you didn't like the phrase "taking America back." Can you explain that to me? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, because that phrase confuses me. I want to know. I want to know who they're when it is said. When I have heard it said, let me qualify. Let me qualify the quote. When I have heard "Let's take America back" again, I heard it most pervasively during the 2016 election cycle from Trump supporters at Trump rallies and rallies of the alt-right.
Right.
And so when I hear that, it's confusing to me. As a black woman who knows her history, I'm confused by that. You want to take America back. I don't really know what that means, because my understanding of history and I think their understanding of history might be a little bit different.
Have you ever asked anyone who said that or used that phrase, what do you mean take America back?
I have.
And what did they say? What type of response have you got?
Normally I get, some runarounds. It normally has to do with, big government,
right?
Bringing government back to the people, which as a strategist I know to be buzzwords. I mean, those are the kinds of sayings that my colleagues and I stood up in our offices and create, and folks end up putting on posters and T-shirts. But what I know is I identified those to be, dog whistle sayings. That mean different things to different people. And so as a woman of color, it's a trigger for me to hear things like, you want to take America back. And I think it's like
what does it mean to you when you hear it as a black woman?
As a black woman, I think, there's some serious undertones, some serious nationalistic undertones, some serious supremacist undertones in comments like that. Taking America back from whom? And I think that statement can't be disconnected from the fact that we've just left the first tenure of our nation's first black president, and a president who was not just ethnically black or African American, but who also had a heart for marginalized and disenfranchised communities and acted those out in his policies. And so I think that there's also an assumption that the power shifted, the pendulum shifted a little too far away from the comfort of folks who saw themselves as always being in power in this country.
Do you feel the same way when you hear the phrase "making America great again"? You get the same weird feeling?
I do.
You do?
But not so much because that's not an original saying. The first time we heard that saying was with Reagan. All they did was add an "again" onto it. So that's not
more comfortable with that than take America
It's a little interesting. I mean, to me, it looks like a resurgence of a Republican regime, or the trying to put up the facade of bringing back, good old Republican days, versus the saying of "let's take America back."
When I hear it and when I say it, I'm saying take America back from the liberals. Take America back, because liberals tend to destroy. They don't build, they destroy. Meaning that high taxes, restrictions, open borders, weak military, the destruction of the family.
Tell me how you really feel about it.
Whereas conservatives, when they say take America back or make it great again, they're referring to that. It doesn't mean go back to slavery.
I think I could go with that if I hadn't heard and been in the space where yellings of "take America back" is immediately followed, or immediately those sayings come right after hearing comments about immigration, hearing comments that are Islamophobic. If I hadn't personally witnessed the connection of those two, I might be able to drop the melanin off of it and the ethnicity off of it and not take it.
When you hear me say it now, does it make sense? What they mean when they say
it never did not make sense to me.
I mean, do you agree with it now? When you heard
me
say it right now, do you agree with me? Oh yeah, that makes sense. And I said,
I don't think that liberals destroy. So I don't think we would look at it the same way.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that we destroy. But I can understand where somebody who agrees with that sentiment could line up that.
When you hear black conservatives say taking America back. Are you feeling weird when you hear them say it? Or do you think it means something other than what it means when you hear black people say that?
Again, I think that I don't necessarily connect skin color with consciousness.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. So whether you're white, black, blue, brown, or purple, and something comes out your mouth, it's not who you are that's saying it. I think it's the embodiment of what you're saying and the implications and who what you're saying would affect the most.
Oh, I see.
So if I see anybody of any color say something that I know is going to have a drastic effect, implications on people who look like me and you and those others, in this room, then I think that's how you judge, the heart of a saying, of an intention, of a policy. It's less about who is saying it and more about who does it affect.
What do you think of President Trump's administration so far, the job that he's doing so far? What do you think of it?
I just think I think it's terrifying.
Terrifying.
I do. I think it's
In what way?
terrifying because firstly, our government isn't being run, isn't staffed up even the way that it should be. Are you
terrified by that? That it's not staffed up.
I just think that there's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and I think that something really big and dangerous happened in the 2016 election cycle. And outside of the dangerous narratives, outside of kind of the hate and the sentiments and the anger that was fueled during the cycle, outside of voter disenfranchisement, outside of all of that, I think that we are at a very critical time in our nation's history right now to think about what it means to have full faith and confidence in our American institutions.
Yeah. President Trump didn't have anything to do with voter ID laws or any of the attacks that happened.
But listen, whenever you ask me about it,
he wasn't the president yet, and so why don't you trust him that he would do what's good and best for the country? Because he hasn't done anything to prove that he's not going to do the right thing.
And he also hasn't done anything to earn the job report numbers that he takes claim for, right? He hasn't done that either, but he still takes claim for them. I think where I take issue, is that I understand as somebody who works in politics where power lies. I know what it means to be a staffer. I know what it means
that's
to be a consultant.
why I was so happy to talk to you today. I looked at your video, I'm like, wow, we're going to get some answers today.
I know what it means to be a consultant. So
give me an example of something that you're terrified by.
I'm terrified by it because I know.
Like what for it? Give me something specific. I am terrified that President Trump will. It's not him. Again, I'm not gonna give him that much power. It's not him, he the man, who terrifies me. I think what terrifies me is looking at the values, the lack of experience, the lack of governance experience. Well, Barack Obama didn't have any experience at all.
But he had a squad. First of all, he did have governance experience.
I mean, he had been senator from Illinois for a day or two, but other than that, he had none. He was a community organizer, and we gave him a chance. Were you terrified with him because he lacked experience?
He also knew who to team up with who had governance experience that was far outstretched, his actual legislative experience, which he did have. And I think that there's something to be said about people who are community organizers. I started off as a community organizer, working on the field.
But give me an example of something that you're terrified of. I still don't.
So
I don't know what that is yet. I really would like to know.
Sure. So one thing that terrifies me are the seemingly rushed desire to put out policies that are incomplete, unconstitutional, all for the guise of making it seem like he's getting things done.
To
me, that is the travel ban.
The travel ban.
Rushed, extremely rushed. The rollout of it was absolutely uncoordinated. State agencies had no idea what was going on. Intergovernmental agencies had no idea what was going on. There was no there was no press release. There was no, there was nothing.
I see. So just to be, for my understanding, is that he put out a travel ban on 7 Muslim countries where terrorists seem to come from, and there's no vetting of these people.
What tells us that terrorists come from there, though?
I just want to ask this, where, there's no vetting of these people, so he put a temporary ban on travel from those countries. Are you saying you were terrified because he did it so fast?
No, I'm terrified because it's misinformed.
So are you in support of him doing that, though? Should he put a temporary ban on those countries?
No.
You don't want one at all?
Nope.
And why not?
Because terrorists don't come from there. If I look at the last cases of domestic terrorism, they look like white males in America.
Like who?
If I look like Dylan Roof, like Dylan Roof, killing 9 folks in a Bible study in South Charleston, and you're able to walk out of the building with a bulletproof vest on, and they stop you at Burger King before they take you in. To me, that's amazing. Like that we can even have a conversation about travel bans when domestic terrorism still runs rampant.
How about,
and then additionally, let me finish my point. Secondly, none of the if we look at when the world really changed, when the culture really changed around terrorism, and when terrorism became a buzzword, we're talking about 9/11, right? Fair?
Right, yes.
Okay. If we look at where the hijackers from 9/11 came from, none of them came from any of the 7 countries.
Which country would you want him to put? You would feel better about him.
I would not feel better about any kind of travel ban.
No matter where.
No, because
and why is that?
Because I don't think that's. I'm confident that is not how you address an issue around terrorism. That is a piece of legislation that reeks of some of our nation's most not proud moments.
Let me ask.
To me, that is terrifying.
There was some years ago now. There was a beheading in Oklahoma at the workplace. This Muslim guy cut off this woman's head. And while cutting it off, he was shouting Allahu Akbar. He attempted to cut off another woman's head, but fortunately they killed him before he was able to do it. At the military base in Texas, shooting, the guy shouting Allah, it was a Muslim, San Bernardino, and just time and time again, why don't you believe or support President Trump in putting a ban on this, temporary ban until we can clean it up, see what's going on, and then doing it a different way? Why aren't you in support of that?
I'm in support of that because, the entire time that I was raised to be a Christian woman and a Christian black woman,
right,
I never saw Christianity banned for the acts of people like Timothy McVeigh, for the acts of people like Dylan Roof, and countless others.
But most of the terrorist attacks, if not all, most of them are Muslim. You don't see Christians doing that.
But I think you need to redefine what terrorism is, sir. What is terrorism?
Cutting off a person's head.
Is that your barometer for terrorism?
Killing up a group of soldiers and other people shouting Allahu Akbar.
Most of the terrorism is not Muslim.
Yes, they are.
I disagree.